So this is the starting air valve which we removed from main engine, and before starting of overhauling, all you need to do is you have to check whether the removed valve is operating in a good way or not. Just you supply air and check the valve spindle is opening and closing in proper way. That is what I am doing now. It is opening properly and it is closing. So the valve basically it is working in a good way. So now we are ready to dismantle the starting air valve. So for doing the dismantling of this starting air valve, first remove the seal ring, or what you call it as o-ring, and then you can see a lot of carbon deposit on the valve housing. You can use small buffing machine and remove all those carbon deposit over the body. So after doing this, you can start opening the screw of valve cover. This is the cover, so use always proper tool, and you can see a air connection which I had kept for testing of this starting air valve. So after removing the screw, the cover will come very easily. So again, all I say is always use proper opening tools. So after removing the screw, you can take out the cover easily. So that is basically it is connecting both the body and the cover. So after removing the cover, you can see the self-locking nut. So you have to unscrew the nut. Use proper tools for removing the nut. So basically what happens is, when you start loosening the nut, you can see the piston coming out, and it is always advisable to loosen the nut very slowly, because what happens is, sometime if the spring got stuck inside the valve, when you loosen the nut, suddenly it will depressurize and the piston can shoot out, which may cause injury. So, and that is also a reason why we had checked the starting air valve before dismantling it. Just we ensure the spring is okay or not, it is getting back the valve spindle in place. So in this case, this spring is in a good condition. So now we had unlocked the self-locking nut, we had opened the self-locking nut, and you just give some tap on the valve spindle. You can see the valve spindle coming out, and also you can see valve spindle coming out along with the distance piece. So you can see a lot of dark marks, and this piston you have to remove it out. Sometimes it comes very easily, or else you can use a Teflon rod, or you use the same valve, hit it a little, tap it backside, it will come out. So that is what I'm trying to do, take out the piston from the housing. So both piston and spring are out. The body is now removed, all the parts has been removed from the housing. You can see the blue color is the gasket. So the liner should be properly cleaned so that the piston movement won't get stuck. So the idea of cleaning the liner is, if in case of any moisture in the air, it sometime what happens is it get accumulated in the liner surface and the movement of piston is affected. So that's the reason, use a proper buffing machine and clean the liner. And it is always advisable to change the gasket whenever you do the overhaul of this starting air valve. So we had removed the gasket, and again gasket placing area should be cleaned using proper buffing machine. And yeah, so this is done. The next, you have to check the spring. Usually you have to compare the height of the spring with the new spring, check physically whether it is okay or not, check for any crack. Just if you see visually, you can see it, there is no much. And next, we are cleaning the, just you have to ensure no deposits in the spring. It is not advisable to use hand gloves when you are using the buffing machine. Always do not use it. So why it is prohibited is sometimes the gloves get stuck between the wheel and there are chances for getting injury. So after completion of this buffing, next, the idea of buffing is to remove all the dirts, or in case of any foreign particles, you remove it. Next, you have to do the buffing. So buffing, it's lapping. Use a proper lapping tool. You have to do the lapping properly because this is the mating surface or the connecting surface between the cylinder head and the valve, so that there should be a airtight. If the surface is clean, then there won't be any question of air exhaust gas leaking through this way. Use nice and medium lapping paste. Initially, for the first, use the hard and then use soft, so that make sure there is no any pitting mark is left over the surface of the starting air valve. So again, now two places you have to do the lapping when you are overhauling the starting air valve. One is on the body, the other is on the place where valve spindle seats. So valve spindle seats, you can keep it in the bench, or you can also use a tool like this, any nose plier. Just you need to turn it. So use you can use a vise, or you can ask someone to hold it. All you need to do is you have to remove the patch, you have to remove the pitting mark in the surface, mating surface of the spindle. So it has to be done with both the kind of lapping paste, one with the hard one, the other with the soft one, so that the hard one, when you use it, removes all the major part, major scratch and all, and the soft one is just to the final touch. So that is what we do now. Both has been lapped. So once the lapping is done, so we are done with the mating surface overall. That means mating surface is free of any kind of any kind of scratch mark or any pitting mark, all those things. Basically it should be airtight. That is the idea to do the lapping. So then after, once the lapping is done, clean the lapping surface with a clean cloth. Use for free cloth, and use a pencil buffing machine, so that you can remove all those dirt inside the body. You can see after after cleaning the valve housing, it is totally looking in a good way. Use proper clean rags and remove all the dirt. Once the dirt is removed, blow air, so that all the foreign particles which is been done, which is being cleaned, can come out. So we are done with the overhauling, means we are done with cleaning of the inner part of the valve housing. So okay, after cleaning this, and the main thing that when you have to keep it in mind is you have to do this job very religiously. This starting air wall overall should be done in a very religious way, because if this overall job is not carried out properly, and it can cause leakage, and that leakage will leads to starting airline explosion. So this job should be done in a very religious manner, so that you can avoid any big disaster happening to the main engine while running. So as we always say, preventive maintenance can always be very helpful to have a flawless sailing. Very smooth sailing will be happening. So what I do is I am removing all the carbon deposit on the side of the holes, side holes, all these air, you can say the space where the air is being stored. So okay, this is the distance piece. Again, the distance piece, do the buffing, make sure no carbon deposit is there. So after this cleaning is all carried out, the next thing what we need to do is go for the piston. So this piston has to be cleaned in a very good way. You can use diesel, or you can use any cleaning liquid to clean it. So after cleaning this, you have to do a visual inspection of the sliding surface. Make sure no crack or no damage in the sliding surface of the piston. So if there is anything like that, make sure it is all removed. And this is another piston area where you have to see any cracks, any defect is there, and go to the thread area, check threads are in a good way. So almost we cleaned everything, we inspected everything. Now it's time to box it up. So now first you box up the valve spindle along with the distance pipe. So give a coat of lube oil. So first goes the valve spindle. So once the valve spindle is in place, so you can easily have a check whether the distance piece is moving up and down properly. Then comes the spring, then change the gasket is in place. Then comes the, just give a coat of copper slip, and then fix the gasket. After the gasket is in place, then comes the piston. So the piston should be kept in place. Any threads should be always coated with moly coat or copper slip. Piston, give a coat of lube oil in the liner, so that it helps the piston to go. Either you can use Vaseline or you can use lube oil, anything is fine. So you can see I gave a coat of lube oil and Vaseline coat over the liner. So now I am fixing the piston in place. Press it slowly, give it a little tap, or you can tighten the nut. So once you start tightening the nut, then the piston will go by itself. Give a little tap, so that you can do the tightening by hand, and then you can do the tightening by spanner. So now I am doing the tightening. So hold the spindle properly. If you are not holding the spindle can start rotate, and it don't allow the self-locking nut to get tightened. So once this is done, after the tightening, then put back the cover. Okay, so now it's time to put back the cover. So after putting back the cover, make sure it is the gasket should not be damaged, and the gasket thread, then the screw should match along with the holes. Basically you can see the big holes which have the opening for the cut. And okay, now we can put the screw. Screw it, all the screw in place, and this screw should be tightened as usually, diagonal tightening. Use proper tightening tools, and you have to give a torque tightening for this screw, and that's all. This is how you have to check, dismantle, overhaul, and assemble a main starting air valve for main engine. Once tightening is completed, okay, so we are done. Tightening of cover is done, and then you have to fit the air connection to check whether the opening and closing is happening properly or not. Once if it is opening and closing properly, then you can assume that the valve is working properly. Now this is the air connection given. Just okay, so now I'm going to give the air connection. You can see the valve is opening. When I remove it is closing. That's all. It is working good. And now for testing the tightness of the valve spindle and body, keep some apply some lube oil and wait for some 5 minutes. All the lube oil should not come out. That's all. It's a sealing test for this air starting valve. I believe this video must have given you some information about how to do main starting air valve maintenance. Thank you all. Thanks for watching. Keep supporting, and if you have any doubt, you can always post in comment box, or you can WhatsApp me directly. Thank you guys.